Welcome to Get Valiant number 149, and happy February, guys.
Yay.
Yes.
We are so close to March.
We are so close to Valentine's Day, right? That's what you're going to say?
That's right.
Valentine's Day.
Valiant. Romance is in the air. Huh?
Yeah. No, man, I'm so ready for March, the Bloodshot movie to come out. The novelization is getting mailed out to people now that pre-ordered it. I know mine's on the way. I haven't gotten it yet. But that novelization is coming. And I know some people have been posting about, should I go ahead and read this thing or should I wait? And I think that's a tough call because, do you want to know where the story is going to go before you go see the movie?
One thing I do think about stuff like this is I do think that sometimes when there's a novelization of a movie, there's a lot of extra things added to a story that don't make it to the screen. So I think that you do kind of end up with a little bit more of a unique experience reading the story versus seeing the movie. And I know that being that it was from Titan, I was hoping that we had it at Outright Geekery, but we did not. I would have totally read the shit out of it. But I don't know. Now that I think about it, I'm like, I don't know if I want to read it either. I haven't ordered one yet. Just like I haven't ordered the Bloodshot toy. I haven't ordered the Bloodshot book. I'll get to it eventually.
See, I
think there would be a lot of extra stuff in the book, though, personally.
Yeah, I ordered the book, and I do see that there is a new story in there as well, so something that's going to be original to it. And I also pre-ordered the audiobook, too, just to kind of show the love for it.
Wait, there's an audiobook of it, too?
Yeah, it doesn't come out till the 23rd of this month. So, yeah.
Is it done by Vin Diesel?
That would be hilarious, but I doubt it.
No.
No,
it's
man,
not. It's
I
not
would
Vin
so
Diesel
hope.
narrating.
Oh.
Make that happen, Dinesh. Come on.
Yeah, we need Vin Diesel to narrate the Bloodshot book. I think I would listen to that. I think I would listen.
Yeah. I'm going to do it on the road. Might as well. And nonetheless, at least it shows support to one of my favorite comic book characters. So maybe they'll do more crap like that down the road. So.
Yeah. Well, this is the first novel from VEI, I guess, technically, isn't it? And there's going to be the Faith one eventually that comes out.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I would consider this a VEI novel just because it doesn't really, take place in the VEI universe, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I when it comes to novels and movies, though, sometimes it's great to do, sometimes it's shitty to do. I keep in mind, one of the movies that was better than novels was Fight Club. But if you didn't read the book, you wouldn't know what to expect from the movie. Little bitty nuances that are in there. So sometimes it does pay off because you get to see some of these hidden things that you don't quite, pay attention to during the movie that you might hear or see or be more descriptive in the book. So it might make more enjoyable movie because you kind of know what you're looking for. But that's, that's somebody's cup of tea, they say, if they want to know that and be spoiled or not. So
it's interesting that you bring up movies where books are better than the movie. Or movies were better than the book. Sorry, because I was thinking about that so much today when I knew that the book came out, and I was like, what movie do I like better than the book?
Yeah.
And for me, it would be Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I think the movie is more enjoyable than the book. I love Hunter S. Thompson. I think his writing is great, but I think the movie is actually a little bit better.
Yeah, there's certain ones where the book is great because you know what you're looking for, but then when you actually see it portrayed, and there's certain things that you can't just describe that you have to show, and I think that plays a big difference in what makes what better. But hopefully they add to each other, and there's a synergy effect, so they make each other better. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying as far as what you were saying earlier, that having read the book and then going into the movie allows you to kind of see some things that you might miss otherwise. And I think what I'm going to end up doing is I'll see the Bloodshot movie a time or 12 and then read the book or listen to the audiobook or both, and then go back and watch the movie again and see if it enhances the experience. but I think that I want to go into the movie cold. I think I want to go in and just see what it is going to be, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, like, to kind of see, you know, things like that. And on our chats kind of talking about audio dramas. Do you remember a while back ago how they were trying to do an audio drama of Archer and Armstrong? I mean,
yeah, I never heard it.
Yeah, I never listened to it.
Yeah, I only heard like just a quick expert of it where they did like one page of it, and it sounded like it would have been really cool. So I want to see if there's anything. I got to try to find it again or something because that would be awesome.
We'll do a live reading of the Bloodshot book, like a chapter.
Oh.
We'll all be characters.
There's a Chrono Cross audio drama.
Ooh,
that's crazy.
That's cool.
I don't know anything about. I know it's a game. That's all I know about that.
Yeah, my wife has been playing that game here recently.
Nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, crazy coincidence to bring that up. But yes, Scott, yes, there is an Archer and Armstrong audio drama. I don't know exactly where you have to go to get it anymore, if you can get it anymore. And I don't know how complete it ended up getting to be.
Right. And do you also remember those live comics that they were kind of doing that they had a little bit of visual motion that it was like made for the phone? Did you guys ever see those as well? Live books or something like that they call them. I'm not remember the name of it.
I seem to remember something about it. That's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can remember that a little bit, but the main thing I'm thinking of is like watching Comicstorian and how he kind of animates the panels a little bit. That's the closest thing I can think of.
Okay. Yeah, there was one that did it, and they had all the first issue Valiants like for free on it. It was pretty cool. I'll have to try to look that up and see what that was. That was kind of cool. But
hey, real quick, I did find a link. I'm going to post it in our chat of the Archer and Armstrong audio drama.
Nice.
Awesome.
And it's from pendantaudio.com. You can also access it through Amazon.com. Do what you want with that. We don't care. We don't get paid for it. So there's a link to that in our chat.
Yeah, and if somebody could grab it, copy and paste that, put in the comments for somebody who doesn't watch it live, awesome. And but did you guys see Valiant Voice today? I think we talked about that a little bit offline.
Yeah, Valiant Voice came out today, and anybody that's not subscribed to that probably should, because info gets dropped in there kind of discreetly sometimes. You know, mm-hmm. They made like a little... Today they made a little post about, check out the Valiant Voice, but boom, look at that. Valiant 2020.
Yes. Savage. I'm assuming that's Savage. And
someone got castrated in like a really rough way, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's either Savage or it's Archer and Armstrong, where Archer is pulling a horn off of one of the 1%.
Yeah. That art looks, I mean, just the little bit that we see, it reminds me of what we saw Dr. Tomorrow with Jim Cho a little bit. So.
Oh, sure. I can see where you're going with that.
Yeah.
Either way, I know Savage is something that showed up on the cover of the previews issue that was talking about Valiant 2020 and all the things that are coming up, and we saw Harbinger and Ninjak, and Savage is one of the things listed as being part of Savage is one of the things listed as being part of Valiant 2020. So seeing little teases and stuff now, I mean, we've been begging for Savage to come back for a very, very long time. So it's definitely exciting to see that this may be coming to fruition relatively soon.
Yeah, I'm curious who's going to write this, because it had been talked about for a while, at least like online, that people were saying that they didn't think B. Clay Moore was going to come back for this. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious who will write this. I'm sure we'll find out something pretty soon. Maybe it will be in the next list. I don't know if it will or not.
Yeah.
But if nothing else, I bet we find out something once convention season kind of kicks in.
I had talked to B. Clay Moore, and he said he had the second art written out.
He did?
Yeah.
So, doesn't mean that they're using it, though.
That's true, right? Could just mean that's
somebody else could have come with a different idea that fits better with the direction they're taking the Valiant universe now, and
Yep.
We'll just have to see what comes of it.
But I
Dysart
feel
had a
that the way
harbinger.
that the miniseries ended up, that original series, I mean, I feel like it would be kind of nice if some bit of continuity was still attached to it from where he came from. Like that book just ends with him in the normal world.
Yeah.
So it would be kind of nice to see it pick up a little bit from there at least.
Yeah, that one really had a good one, and you could tell it really seemed like a first arc. It didn't seem necessarily like a mini. So I feel like there was more to go to it. I mean, it was good as what it was, but it did really feel like it was just a first arc to what has a bigger story. So,
well, that could be true because that book did not get enough information. There was weird things going on with the sales on that,
right?
Which led to the La Rosa variants being worth a lot of money just because people were not ordering it. It was very underordered. Seemed like a lot of retailers were sleeping on it, which was really weird for a Valiant book at the time. I mean, the Valiant books don't sell a ton, but a number one usually sells fairly decent. And that book was really, really low for being a book that introduced a new character. So, it does. I do agree with that. I do think it does kind of read like there should have been something else there at the very end.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, it'd be great to see B. Claymore come back. I mean, we saw him have a smash hit with Killers just recently. Yeah. So I would love to see, him stay on with Savage, whether that's him writing a new story or him, just finally getting to see the story that he already had planned. Either way, I'd be on board. But I'm also going to be on board if, it comes with a new creative team and the new direction, because I think a lot of what we have gotten so far and some of the stuff we've gotten to read that maybe other people haven't really shows that Valiant is going in an awesome direction. And I think Dr. Tomorrow is a great example of what the current leadership at Valiant can do that can turn out really, really great. So if it is a new creative team, I'm still on board.
I think Jay Kingman says it best. Probably the saddest thing is not having La Rosa draw dinosaurs.
Yes.
Because those are like spot on, so amazing. I feel like he's going to the Natural History Museum and just like sketching live there. They're so spot on.
I think he has like a big love of dinosaurs too. Like he's way into doing it. That's part of the charm of doing the book was that he finally got a chance to do a book where he got to unleash on like certain dinosaur designs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of him and a little thing Valiant that I feel like we should touch base on is there's a little bit of work that was announced a little bit today. More to come very soon. And that is a bad idea.
Yeah, man. It's going to be happening. We're getting a big announcement tomorrow, so we're not able to talk about too much today just because we don't know. But this has art from, if I remember correctly, Doug Braithwaite. It's got Luis La Rosa. We've got Tomas Girello. And there's one other one that is slipping my mind right now.
Polina?
Yes, Adam Polina. And I don't think I had seen his name connected with Bad Idea yet. So either I missed it or that's a new one.
I don't think I had either. I know there's a Twitter handle out there, Bad Idea Hello.
Yeah.
And they were only following a few people, one of which was Venditti, who I had not seen attached to anything yet either.
Yeah, he had posted that thing on his Twitter. He has the cover, the banner.
Does he?
Yep.
It's really exciting. I mean, it's actually a little bit more exciting than when Valiant relaunched, I think, because back when Valiant relaunched, I wasn't really familiar with anyone who was doing in the books. And so this time, looking at the art at least, and the writers, I'm like, damn, like, I like all these people's work at Valiant, so I'll probably like all their work at Bad Idea.
Something that's really exciting to me, Josh Dysart posted a little while ago that, it's been however many years, like 9 years or something, or 5 years, or however many, more years than I expected, since he's written an ongoing, and everything he's written since then has been like a mini or an original graphic novel, that kind of thing. And his next true ongoing is going to be announced soon, and then we hear that this Bad Idea announcement is coming. So to me, that makes me think that there's a good chance that some, if not all, of these Bad Idea books are going to be approached as ongoings. And Dinesh has told us that there's a lot in the can. So, I mean, that opens the doors.
They made it sound like they've been working on this for a year.
Yeah.
And so
and I mean,
that's exciting. And we haven't seen Luis Rosa doing a whole lot of stuff since, I can't remember the last book he did. And Tomas Girello's been off XO, I think, was the last book he was doing.
Yeah.
That I can think of, yeah. I mean, Lewis has done covers here and there for, like, Death or Glory. He did a cover, X-Men. Yeah, so he's done a little bit here and there, but... And then Braithwaite's done some covers. I'm not sure he's done a whole lot of interiors outside of Incursion. So...
Sure.
That's cool to get him on it. It's just exciting to see that. Another publisher, group of people we enjoyed, that Valiant brought us to meet these guys, so support them.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, and I mean, Venditti and Dysart are two of the people that helped launch Valiant back in 2012.
Yeah.
And their stories, Venditti's XO and Dysart's Harbinger, are still two of the high watermarks of the entire VEI universe. So knowing that we've got these guys coming back and having another opportunity to launch something from nothing, that's really exciting to me. You know, last time it worked out really, really well with great stories. And this time there are even less constraints on them. And, you know, as far as we know, we may not even be getting a shared universe. So each book may be, you know, complete and total creative freedom. And that means that we're probably going to get some pretty high quality stories.
Yeah. Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited about it. The talent pool that they've got, as was said in the live chat, looks like it's going to be amazing. We know the writers are awesome. Every bit of art that we've seen teased so far has been amazing. So I'm really excited to see what gets announced tomorrow, how much information we get, and it'll be interesting to see what information we don't get tomorrow, because I think that that's going to be a big part of it too. I think that we're going to get some stuff tomorrow, and we may be left wanting as well.
I mean, if it is Dinesh doing it, I'm sure we're going to have a little bit of a tease. So
yeah. Dinesh has a tendency to do that.
Yeah. Well, you guys are probably wondering what we're on here for. Last week we had a guest, the week before we had a guest, so we missed some books 2 weeks ago, and so we're going to talk about those two books. This is the part where we tell you to read it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I actually have them. Not all the time anymore do I actually have them, but I've actually got the book, so we're going to be talking about which one's in which hand. Visitor, number 2. We're also going to talk about Roku, number 4. Maybe in the opposite order of that.
I have them too, but they're not in front of me. They're in Archer's room. So.
Oh, I thought you were a pro.
I'm an amateur at most everything in my life.
Yeah.
That's it.
And a novice at the other stuff.
Let's get into them. We're going to just click the first one and see what pops up. And that's what she said. Roku number 4, Colin Bunn, Raymond F. Box, Stephanie Petrura, Dave Sharp. The closeout of Roku. She's on her own. She's her own mercenary, and yeah.
So, first thing I want to say is that other than the one cover that is really simplistic, I don't love that cover. But all the other covers for this issue look phenomenal. And it's not that the one cover I'm pointing out is bad, it's just not my style. And all the rest of them are very much the style that I like. So to me, these are great, great covers. I believe this is the A cover that I've got.
Yeah.
And it's popping up there on the screen. But
Tyler Kirkham's cover.
Yeah, it's a great, great cover.
I agree. When I got that in my hold, I was just like, I feel like I just missed it in the solicitations because I was like, what cover is this? I don't remember seeing this one. I've seen the other ones, but it's a beautiful cover. Looks great in person. So
it was one of those ones I was so pumped up to do the thumbnail with because it does look beautiful. So yeah,
absolutely. So the interior art, I think that there have been a lot of mixed reviews on the interior art. What I will say, the two sides of that coin for me are that it's not my preferred style. I mean, we all know that for me, you know, you give me Miko Swayan, you give me Louis LaRosa, Brett Booth, you know, a lot of those very hyper-detailed, almost realistic-looking artists. That's my preferred style. But I do think that while this isn't necessarily my preferred style, on the other hand, it is very consistent. And that's like the biggest thing from interior art is you really need to have consistency. And I think from page to page, panel to panel, this is a really solid, consistent book art-wise. So even if it's not everybody's favorite style, and including mine, I do think that we have to acknowledge that the art is actually really solid in this book.
I agree with that. I think art isn't any issue I have with on this book. I like it. I actually kind of like the fact that it's not as detailed as some of the other arts that we expect from Valiant. Mm-hmm. And it has a little bit of a cartoony feel, but I think that's okay, you know? And I love that. I think it's got a lot of great action and violence in it. Mm-hmm. Ramon Box really, he does the action scenes really well. And his pages do stand out a little bit. It's colored very well. So, I don't know. I thought art-wise, it's kind of a cool book, you know?
Yeah, I was really, neither. It was kind of a non-factor to me. It didn't impress me, but it didn't also deter me from it. So there was.
That's fair.
Yeah. So I mean, it wasn't. I didn't like it, and I didn't love it. So yeah, it was decent. It portrayed the scenes really well. I think I had maybe one or two times where I looked at anatomy a little bit, where the proportions weren't there. But that was only a couple times. So for the most part, it was decent. Yeah.
And then story-wise, I think it's kind of cool that we're getting this little play on, Roku not remembering her past, but having a character there who does remember Roku's past. I thought that was an interesting thing to play with. I also think that this series overall has done way more with Roku's power set than we've seen since the first arc Matt Kinn introduced her in. I think that she was handled really, really well then, and ever since she's kind of been nerfed. And now we're getting her in her own book, and this is an opportunity to let her power set shine, to show all the crazy things that she can do. And again, like we kind of mentioned before, we are going into spoilers here, so please be forewarned. But as a spoiler, at the end of the book, we get her, it looks like Mary Beth, the girl she's protecting, is killed. And then we find out that was just like an illusion that Roku created with her mind, the mind powers that she has, which are a little bit ill-defined. But yeah, so I mean, we see this illusion that she created. And I will say it was a little bit cheap to have that death that wasn't really a death, but at least it didn't span issue to issue of like, oh, let's leave him for a month thinking this character's dead. It was just like, no, I mean, that was the illusion that Roku created to save Mary Beth. And so, I mean, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't my favorite way to resolve the conflict, but it worked.
Yeah, I just kind of thought when it happened, I was like, well, this isn't going to set, because there's no way they're just going to kill a child in a comic book at Valiant. Not in this book, maybe like in Harbinger or something, they'll kill some kids, but not in Roku. Not when the whole book is based upon her trying to defend this one child. I think the only problem I've really had with this book, the only real negative is I just don't like the bad guy. The Minister Blades seems like such a weak character to me, and I hate his name. He just drives me crazy. Seeing him get finished off, I was like, good. Let's never see this guy again, please. Because, I mean, the thing is, I think that, while I had issues with this book when it was announced because I didn't want this to be like a redemption story, and it's still kind of a redemption story where she's doing the good thing and she's going to fix these wrongs and all this shit. I don't want to see that, You can do a villain book. And she's not, a great good guy, if anything, because, I mean, the whole book is her, stabbing people and killing people, left and right. There's a pretty decent body count on her hands, She got a lot of blood on her.
Disemboweled motherfuckers.
Yeah, she is brutal. But I do think that writer Cullen Bunn, he fleshed her out really well. So I think, her overall story, I think there's a lot to go off of now. There's a lot of information about her. And like I said, I think there's a great pace of action here. The story is pretty good. It's not my favorite thing that's come out, but it's not at all bad, Yeah. But I do think the Minister Blades and his dumb name had to go.
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback kind of off of that exactly, because I mean this was Ninjak's big bad. Ninjak's one of the pretty much a temple with Valiant, a great superhero, powerful, part of Unity, and Roku's his big bad. And there's I guess if she's going to go up against another bad, they have to be able to like kind of compete on that, because it's just, you're looking at such a guy like Ninjak that's doing that, and he was pretty interesting. I guess it makes sense to part of a point to have him control sharp objects, and she's known for her sharp hair, and so you're trying to do like a contrast of her power to completely do it. There were some things that were weird, like her all of a sudden growing a heart. That wasn't part of her character. Now she cares about people, wants to visit him in the hospital. It just seemed a little, not so much like her. And also the dialogue that was in there, probably like, it's like her internal, where she's talking about, I was altered, he was altered, the little girl was altered. Like, I think it used that people were altered 10 times in the book. And so there was just a lot of telling in this book as far as like what she was thinking, where she was going, versus really showing. And I know like in comic books, like you want to be able to show more than you actually just tell within all the, the square word dialogue. And it was just kind of a weird, I guess I couldn't get her voice in my head to make it really work for me. And, it's one of those ones where I'd really like to hear what, Colin Bunn was thinking in his head, how he was hearing it, because it just wasn't working for me hearing all that dialogue that was in there of her talking to herself, basically narrating the story, narrating what's going on. And it seemed like it was very repetitive throughout the issue, which is good because it was consistent, but it seemed like it was consistent of the same stuff every issue.
Yeah, I will agree that this is not Valiant's strongest book. I think that it's not Cullen Bunn's strongest work with Valiant. I thought that
Punk Mamba was great.
The book. Yeah, Punk Mamba was phenomenal. And I believe, while it hasn't been announced, I believe he is writing another book, isn't he? Didn't they say that there's a book yet to be announced that he's doing?
I'm pretty sure it's Shadow Man. Pretty sure it's Shadow Man.
Well, I have no idea what he's writing or not, but I believe that it was said that because they had said Jeremy Hahn was going to be announced to be doing a book, and then Cullen Bunn was going to be announced to be doing a book, if I remember correctly.
Yep, at C2E2, that's correct.
Yes. So, this isn't the end of Cullen Bunn with Valiant, and I think that it's great to know that there's a writer like him who's willing to play around with different characters. I think that he had a really big hit with Punk Mambo, in my opinion, and not so much here with Roku. But hopefully, whether he does Ninjak or Shadow Man, Harbinger, we still don't know the creative team. Savage, we don't know the creative team. So I think that there are a lot of books that are coming that he could be writing that could turn out really, 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 really well. This book just did fall a little bit flat. Like I said, the ending being resolved with a death that wasn't a death was a little bit cheesy. The Minister of Blades was not the most cool character ever. So there are some things that aren't, my favorite about this book. But I do think overall it's a solid book. Like, I can't give it a really low score because I do think that I like the art. There's some great, great action in this book. And I think that overall it is solid. And it is something that I think a new reader could pick up and say, wow, this Roku character's pretty badass. What else has she been in? And that's a great gateway to say, like, well, you should read some of this really badass Ninjak stuff. And, you can read a lot of other cool stories that she's been a part of. So I do think that this still is a book with a lot of positive qualities to it. So for me, as an ending to the arc and as an issue on its own, I would give it a score of a 3.5.
How much? What was your score again?
3.5.
Okay. That's actually what mine's going to be, too. As much as I like the action, and I like the art, I think the coloring is really well, it's just an okay story, and if I think if this book wasn't maybe as bloody as it was, and I mean, the whole series just been like, just blood and guts. Okay, I actually like that. It's been like, it's kind of been like a nice, like, release book, just to be like, okay, I just want to see some people just get fucking tore up, like it's been that book.
Yeah.
Kind of like a Carnage book almost in a way, man. Like, she is just brutal. But I mean, like, the story is it's all right. And the bad guy is the dumbest fucking bad guy I've seen in a comic book for a while. But I mean, I'll tell you what, man. Like, that said, I'm glad that Cullen wrote it. I hope he writes Shadow Man, just because I do think that Punk Mambo was awesome. I don't even want to hear anyone else's opinion on it. They don't like it. That's how much I liked it. I loved Punk Mambo. And I just think that maybe that more supernatural, that darker part of the Valiant universe is a little bit more suited for him. And I mean, I'm sure there's people who are going to dig this book. I don't have to like everything. But I mean, I didn't love this book. It's okay, though. I would reread it.
Sure.
Yeah. So what score did you give it, Josh?
Same as he did, 3.5.
Okay. Yeah, I'm right there with you guys. Like I said, it wasn't bad, wasn't necessarily, good, but it was getting Roku out there again, right? It's getting her in there to where, it's just another, superhero that we have that we could work with. It's getting, whether she's one of the villains or if they want to redeem her continuously and get that going. One of the things that I kind of had an issue with was Mary Beth's powers. It's like Alexander Solomon, but it's not a Psyot. And we haven't seen him. We miss him. We want to see what happened with him. It's this guy who can predict the future kind of thing. But it is an interesting thing to have somebody with those powers with like a mercenary in their set. So they could figure out how to tap into that further. That could be interesting. Could be cool. But yeah, like we talked about Cullen Bunn. I think his niche is horror, and Harrow County is amazing. And I think getting him something like a Shadow Man that hopefully they can let it, be a mature reader, rated R, and get as dark as they need to be with something like that, I think would be awesome to go that route. I mean, because we've had Robert Myers here on the show, and he basically said we haven't had a real horror, and we're going to have some dark stuff soon. So, yeah, that's kind of where I am with that. Hopefully seeing that with Colin. And, yeah, hopefully he's at Emerald City. We could ask him about it. So
where'd you come in at a score?
Same as you, 3.5. So.
Okay, all around 3.5 on this book.
Yeah, I think we all agreed.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times we score things really high. We score everything a 4, 4.5, a 5. And so it feels like a crazy low score when we give something a 3.5. But at the end of the day, I mean, that's still a solid score. That's still a solid book. It's a 7 out of 10, well above, and it's above an average score. So I still think it's a solid book.
Kind of like my grades in high school.
It is too.
Kind of like my grades in high school. Perfect C. So.
Nothing wrong with that.
That's right.
And the thing about it is, I mean, it feels like a low score just because we're used to such high quality books from Valiant all the time. But I'll tell you what, man, Marvel and DC put out a lot of books that wouldn't get anywhere near a 3.5 score from me. So the fact that this is one of the low points and we're giving it a 3.5, I think that says a lot about the level of quality that we continue to get from Valiant.
Yeah. I thought this was definitely better than the last arc of Livewire.
Okay, let's go to the next book, because that doesn't need a comment, dude. Oh yeah, Rising Spirit. That's our standard. And I think Todd's on here, and he was talking about the bell curve. I do not want to judge my comics on a bell curve. Thank you very much. Nope. Rock and roll. Next, I remember
at one point, our friend Tor, he used to keep a score of all of our grades, and I would hate to even know now what some of the stuff is ranked at. But I mean, you just go into it like what it is. You read a book. I read everything once, and I sit there and I think about how I grade it, and that's how it goes.
Yep. Yeah. Sometimes it's pretty weird when you think about the 5s and you really kind of grade stuff compared to, you know what I mean, like your favorite book ever. That's a 5. It's kind of weird when you put, what you would call 2 5s initially, when you put it up to Toyo Harada number 6. To some things might cause that 5 to go down a little bit for some books. But. Yeah. The Visitor.
Visitor, number 2. We started out talking about Roku with the covers, and we've got to do the same thing here with Visitor. I think that ever since this book was first announced, the most solid and consistent thing that we've gotten is that the covers have been crazy badass. And I don't think that this issue is any exception.
No, they're all great. Mm-hmm. Especially that one with him holding like the sniper rifle. That thing looks rad.
Dude, that's Jeremy Hahn.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to get in The Final Witness.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great cover. The one with like the broken glass where he's like falling and shooting out at you is awesome. And I also, as much as I really like that A cover for Roku, I think that this A cover that we got from Visitor number 2 is also really, really awesome. Yeah, man. I mean, a really good, solid-looking cover can do a lot for a book, and the fact that they're not just doing a great-looking A cover and, phoning in the rest of them, or a really cool variant and phoning in the A cover, the fact that we're getting such solid work all around on these covers, I think that is going to do a lot to help the books when they're sitting on the shelf.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Sometimes when you're just passing by and this character looks freaking cool, and they're going to pick it up and see what the heck it is. All for it. And then plus you see that Vin Diesel Bloodshot header on the top too, which is fun for the movies, and hopefully get some other people to look at it too. Maybe that saw the movie, come back to it. This was a really cool book. I'm liking MJ Kim's art a lot. Interested to see what you guys think about this story. I mean, we were going from, Roku, which had those dialogues, and it really seemed like it was spoon-feeding you this plot and story of the character, while this is drawn back a lot, and it's making you kind of digest what's going on a lot more. So kind of the tale of two stories as far as story-wise here.
Yeah, I get what you're saying there. I think the biggest strength in this book is the art. MJ Kim was never a bad artist, but I think that this is a whole new level. We have not seen this high quality work from MJ Kim before, and like I said, I think that she was good to start with. So I think that this is a beautiful, beautiful looking book. But I will say probably the biggest complaint that I have with this book is that it is so dense and so wordy. Like, yeah. I feel like it takes a lot out of me to read this. And that's not because it's poorly written, which it's not. It is well written. It's just there's so much going on in this book. And we really don't get a lot of Visitor. And I'm not saying that we need Visitor on every page or anything like that. But I do, I do have to kind of agree with some people who've said, it'd be cool to see a little bit more Visitor. I think the times that we get to see Visitor are either cool brooding moments or action is coming. And, with the way the issue ends, hopefully for me as a big action fan, hopefully the ending of this issue means that we're going to get a bunch more action.
Yeah, I thought that there was more of his appearances or its appearances in this book than the first issue, because I thought the first issue really didn't have a lot of the Visitor in it. Right. And I just thought, what the hell, man? You can't have a book like that and only have him pop up like 3% of the time or something like that. He just did not have a lot of presence on the page. I like the denseness of this because one thing I would say is I really do like Paul Levitt's writing. I was a big fan of his Legion of Superheroes and a lot of the other stuff that he's done. I do kind of have an appreciation for older writers who still like to just throw a shit ton of words on the page. I do feel like then I get a little bit more bang for my buck just because there's a lot to read. Sometimes comics are so short, people just get to the action. It's not always the case with Valiant. In fact, it's rarely a case with Valiant where I'm just like blow through a book and I'm just over it. But I like it with this. But I do feel like I'm just waiting for like that big moment to happen that we're all just kind of still waiting for to happen. Like just something that just happened in this book.
Right.
Because it is one thing is while I like the denseness of it, I like being able to read stuff. There's just not enough action for me, And we still know who the hell this guy is or person. So, the mystery's there. Is it going to be someone that already exists, or is that even going to be part of it too? I don't think I've read anything about this where it's stated that the original throwback to the old series was that the Visitor was somebody, and then ended up being Pete Stanchek. I don't think it's going to be Pete Stanchek right now because there's a lot more that they could still do with the character in the current universe. But I just wonder, what is the deal with this guy? Do they have that same kind of hook in the book where he's going to turn out to be a version of somebody that we already know?
Yeah.
I don't know. But it's an all right read. You know, I mean, I feel like it doesn't have the thing, though, that Roku had. Like, we just reviewed Roku where it was, like, action-packed, asses getting kicked. And here we got, well, the guy's standing on a bridge, and he's in this event, and, you know, like, he's just kind of, like, staring at something. So, you know, like, you're not going to get
pretty
points.
sweet vent, though.
Yes, it looks great. MJ Kim's art is amazing. And one thing I read about her was that she does a lot of going out and viewing things so that she can get, like, a little bit more realistic with her art. I think that's wonderful. I think it looks way better than her work did in that Faith book that she did. And I thought her work looked great there, too. But I do think that there's something a lot better about this book artistically speaking.
Yep. Yeah. So this book had some interesting elements that I kind of liked. I liked the learning of the triple helix. So we know this guy is part, you know, machine. So likely from the future is kind of my thought, and he's likely some type of Rye. And there's a lot of intrigue about what this is doing in the future. It's Japan and the U.S. They hate the South Koreans. They need to get away from everything. And there's a tech thing, and there's AI involved in this. So, like, it leads me to think New Japan, or is this some type of, like, early origin of Father? What are we getting here with that? And so that's where I get excited about this book, is the continuity that's connected to it, or the possibility of continuity that's connected to it. That really gets me going. And I agree with you, Eric, on it was very wordy, it's very dialogue. I had to pick it up a couple times to really, like, get to the right moment in my headspace to read through it. And then after I was in that spot, I really enjoyed it. It did take a couple times to go through it. There's some cool back, where they go and they have the character, they kind of show him slightly of who this visitor is, holding an older man. And he's trying to save that older man. So there's a lot to be said here. I know that this was initially a 5-issue mini, and they've actually extended it to a 6-issue mini. So maybe we're getting that extra one to really get the story out. And there's a lot left to go. I mean, we're only 1/3 of the way done with this story, and yeah. But again, art great, yeah, all the way.
Yeah. So my thought is, that what looks to be like both a flashback and a flash forward, those scenes where a character whose face we don't completely see is protecting an old man, which was actually probably the most action-packed scene of the book. That to me looks like, it's something from the future. This AI thing turns out to be a bad idea, so this old guy sends his modified protector back in time to stop it from happening, and that's the Visitor. So I do think that what I'm getting from that is the Visitor is essentially a proto-Rye. And if the Visitor isn't a proto-Rye, because I am pretty well convinced that this is going to end up having something to do with Father and New Japan.
Which would be cool. Which would be really cool.
I'm totally on board for that connection to happen. And I think that, what I was going to say is, if this character isn't a proto-Rye and ends up being an actual Rye, then I hope that it's a Bodo. Because a Bodo was the shit.
Don't even say that, man. Don't even soil his good name with this book. No, that just gets my hopes up, man, because he's the best. He's like one of the best characters. We got him for an arc. I miss him every day, man. Did you get a score?
So, this is tough. I'm going to say, because I liked the art more, I think this is really close in quality to Roku number 4 for me. But I do like the art a bit more, and I think that there is a lot of intrigue here, so I'm just going to go slightly higher at a 3.75.
I'm going to go a slight bit lower, actually. I'm going to go about 3 on this. Now, I like how the book looks, but at the end of the day, I do want to be entertained a little bit more than just, like, nothing. People sitting on bridges and people watching people drive cars. So, but it looks good, and once we get that thing that ties it into the Valiant universe, that'll be really awesome. Hopefully that happens.
This is kind of interesting. I think it's the first time me and Eric have ever agreed on 2 books, so I'm going to say 3.75.
Crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't always happen, but it does every once in a while. I really judging this book on potential as well, though. Enjoying the art, enjoying the setup of the beginning of this story. Being like again 6 issues. This is 1/3 of the way there. We're just finishing with the first act of a story, and we're about to get into this second, third act. Hopefully, here see some more meat and potatoes of what this is about, and I hope they don't wait till issue 6 to reveal who the Visitor is, and we get a little bit more idea there. But they did kind of disclose a little bit who he was, and I guess going forward, I want to see more about this UN. Why is she following this group a little bit more? I know she's there for protection, and then just who each one of these people that they're protecting, and they got their safe houses, and a little bit more of why everybody must know about it and why they have so many dang safe houses as well. Just kind of plays it out. And yeah, there's a lot to the story left to be, but 3.75 is where I'm at.
Right on.
Low man on the totem.
Yeah, crazy.
Why are you all negative,
but you
Josh?
know what, though? Like, John brings up something interesting. Like, the potential of what this story could be, I think, could totally change my opinion of it, though. Because if it does end up being, kind of like you said, if he ends up being something that ties into that whole Rai lineage, this is maybe a AI thing that creates father or helps spark New Japan, wherever it may be, I think then it does kind of change things, because those are things I just love so much about Valiant. We've talked about this, how much I like Rai and how much I like that whole 4001 storyline. So I do feel like there is that bit where if it's like all of a sudden they're like, hey, this is what this whole book is going towards, I would just be like, holy shit, hold the phone, let me go back and read everything again. And so I don't know. But for right now, it is what it is.
By 2 issues, we're getting a shit ton more story than we got with Psylords. So
yeah. Oh God, yes. I mean,
I don't know why you guys got to shit on
Psylords. Could have just been done in 4 issues, man. If you could have just done that in 4 issues, I think
I didn't shit on Psylords.
It would have been better for the whole community and as a whole.
Yeah.
I think Psylords was good as it was.
I think it ended good.
Yeah. Yeah, it ended.
It had a really good ending.
It finally hit the rhythm, and I was ready for more.
Yeah.
But when you start slow like that, it makes it hard.
Hopefully we get more Fred Van Lente Psylords. I would be bummed if we don't.
Yeah.
Hopefully we do. But speaking of things that we may or may not get, let's talk about things that we are getting. Next week, we are going to have a couple of books to talk about. And that is going to be Rai number 4 and Bloodshot number 6. Now, I'm excited for this for next week because Bloodshot's my absolute favorite character, as a lot of people probably already are aware. So I'm really excited to see where this series continues going. I think it's been really good, and I'm definitely excited about it. And then Rai has been this, just like Killers kind of came out of nowhere and ended up being amazingly good. We knew Fallen World was solid, but I had no idea that Rai was going to be as insanely good as it has been. So I'm really, really excited to see how that continues. I still think that Rai issue number 2 is one of the best single issues of a comic I've read in a really, really long time. Issue number 3 was really fun. So yeah, absolutely can't wait to see where issue 4 goes.
Matt, you know what? Like, this is like trying to pick like your favorite kid, like which one to be excited about. Both books have been great, and the cover that we're showing for Bloodshot is awesome. I like that so much. That to me is a really good Declan Shelby cover.
Agreed.
But Rai's been great. Bloodshot's been great. It'll be a fun week, man. I thought the episode that we did, the last one we did that had Bloodshot 5 and Rai 3 was a fun episode too, just because both those books were just so great. There's just so much to say about them.
Yeah.
Okay, I lied. That was 2 books me and Eric agreed on the same time then. So, it happens. It happens. A little more than I like to believe.
That's not why we had you on, okay? You're not on here to agree with Eric. You're on here to agree with me.
Well, you were pretty negative today, so screw you, dude. So, your negativity today is just so bad.
Oh, man. And we're the positive podcast. I can't believe I did that, PMA.
Better in PMS.
Yeah, I got to keep that PMA. No, I think that we've got some good stuff coming, and it sounds like from the live chat as well, people are really enjoying both of these books. Todd's calling it a real bright spot, which I would totally agree with. I hope Psylords 2 Revenge of FVL. I'm down. I'm totally down. Yeah, I think that both of these books, I think, have been stuff that most fans have been really enjoying. So definitely looking forward to next week's episode. And it's going to be episode number 150. I guess I didn't even realize that we were coming up on that. That's kind of a bit of a milestone. So maybe we'll have to try to see if we can do something fun for it. And
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe
we'll talk about
try to
Bloodshot
find
and Rye.
something to give away. Huh?
We'll talk about Bloodshot and Rye.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
That's
I just
pretty
meant
special.
something fans for the people who are going to get to read the book regardless whether we do an episode. Maybe give them a little extra. We'll find something to give away.
Hey, real quick before we close out, I do want to say that I was kind of a little nervous about how many people we'd have in our chat this week because we had a great episode last week, talking with J-Rob, talking about Quantum and Woody, and we had so many people in our chat for the Quantum and Woody giveaway, and I was like, oh man, we're just doing 2 reviews. Who knows how many people we've here? We've had a lot of people here come to watch the reviews this week, so I just want to say thanks to everyone who tuned in this week. We've had a really action-packed chat. So
how about something like this next week we can give away?
Heyo.
Let me see.
You know what I was thinking?
It's going to be a good little package of a bunch of fun things.
What?
This is all
I want to win that.
Personal.
Wait, why are you giving that? Why don't I have that?
Boom.
What?
So yeah, I'm gonna, give away. I got one of these. This is pretty awesome. One of these. One of my buddies gave me that. Well, David.
That's pretty cool.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
I need that. Jeez.
I don't know.
Buddies.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. We'll see.
I don't know if everybody has this volume 1, book 1 of the current Bloodshot series, but we could probably hook somebody up with that next week as well.
I think I've got an extra print from the new Quam and Woody. I don't have it in front of me, but the print that they did for the promotional, I've got 2 of them, so I can give that away.
Yeah.
The question is whether or not I've got a poster tube. So I will see what I can do on that. But I will have something to give away too. So we'll figure something out. We're going to do something fun next week.
Yeah.
150. The big 150. And it is a big 150. That's no bullshit. So tune in.
Boom.
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 Hey, again, thanks everybody for hanging out in the live chat. Definitely appreciate people hanging out, whether, obviously we've got Scott hangs out with us all the time. Todd.
Happy birthday Friday, Scott.
Yeah, happy birthday's coming up, Scott. That's awesome. J-Rob, just had him on the show, and then he's hanging out with us in the live chat. That's absolutely awesome. I know Gomer was hanging out as well.
Todd was on.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely appreciate everybody who watches and interacts with us live. And, of course, if you're watching or... Scott, you and I are almost exactly the same age. I'll be 35 later in the year as well. So
you're all a bunch of kids.
You kids. Get off my lawn.
Jake was on. John Spillman was on with us, too.
Yeah. Always good to
go
have
through
with us and interacting. And hopefully with episode 150 coming next week, sounds like we probably all have stuff that we're willing to part with and hook up fans with. So hopefully a bunch of people will join in, and more than just Sean Hayes can win some stuff.
It's going to be like the 150 garage sale episode. We're all just going to clear out our bins.
Hey, but my shit is really treasure, so you better watch it.
True. It's true. But yeah, again, thanks everybody. Wow, it's hard to believe that we're almost to 150. But yeah, this has been episode 149. Thanks everybody for hanging out and listening to us gab away about a couple of awesome Valiant books. Signing off, I'm Eric Baumgard.
I'm Josh Rathman.
And I'm Hooser. And be Valiant.
We're gonna see you guys all next week, and hopefully more people, and we're gonna get some stuff away to you. So stay Valiant, Motros.
Can we say stay connected to Hoodoo, because there might be something coming too. Peace.
Oh yeah.